So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar on vehicle lifecycle management. My name is Tao Fang. I'm from the UNDP's Cooling, Circularity, and the Pollution Prevention team. It's my pleasure to moderate today's webinar. So for this agenda, Joe, for today's agenda, we have 4 presentations from Japan, China, the Netherlands, and Brazil. This will be followed by a Q&A session. Just a gentle reminder that please keep your microphone muted, and you can drop your questions anytime in the chat, and we'll reach that in the end. So without further ado, let's hand over to Xiaofang, our team head at UNDP, for the opening remarks. Over to you, Xiaofang.
Thank you, Tao. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar organized by UNDP's Planet Hub. I want to begin by thanking our distinguished speakers from Brazil, China, Japan, and the Netherlands, and all participants from UNDP country offices, regional hubs, HQ teams, and most importantly, our partners around the world. We're going to talk about something that touches every country, every industry, and every community from a global perspective on vehicle lifecycle management. So let me start with a simple fact. Jo-Marie, can you go to those slides? Okay. Automobile industry is the world's largest economic sector, highly dynamic, innovative, fiercely competitive, and full of challenges and opportunities. Every day, we could see related stories in the global headline. The challenges and opportunities are closely related to the scale. The global automotive market is worth $2.9 trillion annually, and in 2024, more than 22 million vehicles were produced. And every year, more than 50 million vehicles reach the end of their life. And you will also see there's a significant sector for greenhouse gas emission. For the 50 million units every 12 months that need to be dismantled, recycled, or remanufactured, and this number keeps growing, particularly in the global south. But there is a problem. Retired vehicles are not managed properly in most developing countries. Informal treatment processes create significant pollution, releasing hazardous chemicals, heavy metals, and fluorinated refrigerants to our air, soil, and water. The value is lost. Community pay the price. Now, just as most countries are still struggling to manage regular solid waste, a new challenge is emerging: the EV battery recycling. The transition to EV has been accelerating in these years, particularly in the last few months in the context of global energy crisis. But most developing countries have not yet established a system to safely recover those critical minerals from retired batteries. Many governments ask themselves the question, will the transition to EV sustainable, given limited resources they rely on? So today, we are not just talking about pollution and waste management, but this issue matters to many important topics: climate change, resource efficiency, industrialization, infrastructure of the cities, and the economic opportunities. The UNDP is supporting the countries for sustainable development, accelerating the transition to a greener and circular economy. We must tackle the challenges of this sector. This is why UNDP is working with partners on a new initiative, Circular automotive lifecycle management. Our goal is to catalyze the transition to circular automotive value chains in developing countries, reducing pollution, recovering resources, and enabling a just transition. We are focusing on 4 pillars. First, life cycle, policy and governance, including EPR system, digital vehicle passport, and chemical controls aligned with the international agreement. Second, the circular and eco design and green manufacturing, promoting modular disassembly-ready design and substitution of hazardous substances. Third is formal recovery and recycling, building collection system using digital and AI-enabled dismantling and scaling the remanufacturing. The last is market development and sustainable finance through green procurement, blended finance, and investment pipelines to support this transition. So today we are fortunate to learn from 4 countries, from Japan, China, Netherlands, and Brazil, who has developed always developing their lifecycle management system on vehicles. Each country has developed unique policy framework, operational models, and implementation lessons. Our distinguished speakers will share their research and practical insight on this complex topic. I hope you will benefit from the insight of experts. I encourage you to exchange with them during and after this webinar. Let me close with this. We don't need another 20 years to build a circular economy if we work together. Vehicles are essential to modern life, but their end-of-life phase should not become a risk or burden to environment and to sustainable development. We have global platform, expertise, policy tools, and financial mechanism to do it right. What we need now is collaboration. I hope today's conversation move us one step closer to that vision. Thank you again for joining us. I wish you all a productive session. Back to you, Antao.
Thank you so much, Xiaofang. I think your remarks set the stage for the speakers. Our first presentation takes us to Japan. Japan has, over the last 2 decades, built one of the world's most comprehensive vehicle recycling system. And I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Makoto Kato. He is a board member and general manager of Overseas Environmental Cooperation Center in Japan, or OECC. OECC is Japan's leading institution for international environmental cooperation. He is also the co-lead of the Cooling Hub at the Climate and Clean Air Coalition. He has over 25 years experience across climate, energy, and circular economy policies. He will walk us through Japan's experience with vehicle lifecycle management. Makoto, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tao and Xiaofan. Thank you very much for providing with this opportunity to walk you through Japan's automobile recycling law, including the system and implementation status and results. This is one of examples for your reference. As mentioned in the beginning, there are a variety of working modalities and also like a policy format. So I'm not suggesting this is the only model, but I think as we are producing a lot of vehicles, and also we are using a lot of vehicles in Japan. So I think you may be interested in learning about somewhat of useful experiences from Japan. So overview of Japan's automobile recycling law. What we are jumping into the purpose of implementation and the circular economy alignment and extended producers' responsibility, including our unique mode of PRO, and also legal and operational scope. So let me start with the introduction and the context. So in many countries, as I am aware that for the recently, many of our partner countries are started working on a development of the end of life vehicle policy development and also like implementation, including the legal framework development. But in many cases, still, we have seen sort of like an engagement by informal sectors, and something like this, very shocking. But this has happened in our country 20 or 30 years ago. Um, we have actually started with a very sad and hideous episode of illegal dumping incident in which happened in early or late 1992 2000s. Well, the picture you are seeing on the screen is the quoted picture from Teshima Island illegal dumping incident. So that we actually had the recycling challenges or the challenges of illegal dumping for and especially for the end of life vehicles treatment, which was a very serious case, and then that has caused a serious issue of water contamination, and also the aesthetics of this island for it's has been a really big challenge for at this time. So at the earlier stage, well, we have, I mean, the end of life vehicle treatment was totally on voluntary mode for and then also this was done simply by market. So that at that time, well, although some kinds of voluntary recycling were activities were conducted, but the recycling rate or thermal and also other material utilization was far less than now. And then also the informal sectors or the those who are engaged for in the are recycling, well, they are only cherry picking of the areas so that is easily monetized. And I think, of course, for in Japan as a developed countries, one of the developing countries, well, the environment standard is relatively strict already at the late 1980s or 1990s or even 2000s. But still, we have seen a very serious illegal dumping cases. So that the Ministry of Economy Trade and Industry, which is mainly in charge of the products, industrial products. Well, the ministry started for the e-levy recycling initiative. Well, that was kind of like sort of like a consortium by the government as well as the private sector, including automobile producers. And then initiative actually set the kind of like a soft target, the rate of 85 to 99% of the target. That was actually what sort of like I would say like a leading period of before going to the hard law introduction. And the law itself issued in 2002, and then it was started for implementation in 2000, not 2005, 2005, sorry. It's a little bit of typo. But the mandatory target was 90%. And then now it's been already achieved. Let me walk you through very basic concept of the automobile recycling law. So for the countries for which interested in working on the legal system, first of all, in this kind of legal system, it is very important to define by the government or the different players' roles and responsibilities should be clearly defined. So we have this kind of categorization. First, because for the automobile manufacturers or importers, well, this is one of the big group. And then because for when the vehicle that was manufactured or imported reach end of life, manufacturers and importers will shall take back for the key items such as F-gases, airbags, and also ASR generated from those vehicles. Well, then they are actually taking responsibility in this way. And also we have collection operators. Well, this is another group that is very important that they're taking discharging their roles. And then also because we are already in the implementation of the Montreal Protocol, and also F-gas is another aspect of it. F-gas is very potent greenhouse gas impact, global warming potential, so that the Japanese automobile recycling law defines for fluorocarbons recovery operators' roles, and they need to be registered by prefectural governors' registration system. Number 4 is dismantling and shredding operators. Before the introduction of this kind of legal definition, in many countries I have seen, well, these are conducted by informal sectors. Yes, well, I think they're not necessarily doing wrong thing, but I think it's very important to provide a status and also like a kind of like a robust framework on their work, including the standards and also like a procedures they need to follow to protect for environment. And also like the economic efficiency, so that our legal system actually provided for the definition of dismantling and shredding operators. They are licensed by prefecture governors. Then vehicle owners. Well, this is actually us. Well, when we are driving a car, then actually, well, the ELV comes from us. But what are roles? Actually, well, this is also related to our costs coverage system. So these are actually 5 categories that are defined by the Japanese automobile recycling law. So this is a starting point. Now, you see the diagram on your left-hand side, so that the how the recycling starts. Well, on the top of you see yourself like a car owners, then sometimes for like a cars are resold to different owners. But at the end, well, we are going to have this ELV collected by operators, and also like for carbon recovery operators, as I mentioned, and also dismantling operators. And then if you go down, shredding operators, and all of them are actually done in a formal way, so that it used to be like an informal way, but now all of them are registered and then properly managed by the tracking system. And then also at each and every stage, we have designated technical guidelines, procedures, and standards that the respective stakeholders, players actually will need to follow, so that the government actually will provide its very big framework, and also like the directions and also the flow. And on the top of it, for at the each and respective stages, the government provided the standards and procedures through the technical guidelines. Now, money is very important. who bears cost and how we collect those resources. Well, this is very important. So that financial mechanism is another aspect. We have advanced recycling fee collection mechanisms so that the basically at the in a very simple term, we actually pay the recycling fee at the upfront, or like at the upstream. In other kind of laws, for example, like household e-waste law in Japan, actually, well, the fees are collected in the mid or the downstream, which is quite unique. But in case of card, we actually pay at the time of purchasing cars, and then well these costs these fees are actually stored in the pooled, and then they are actually used at the time of the recycling, like SAR treatment, airbag processing, and fluorocarbon destruction. And then basically, that this is something like 6,000 or 18,000 Japanese yen per vehicle. So that the cost bearing mechanism is very important. So the cost required for recycling of ELV, these are recovery of destruction of fluorocarbons, recycling the airbags, automobile shredder residue. Well, these are basically borne by vehicle owners, but that they are actually paying in the beginning. Then so that the cost management arrangement, well, this is more about the institutional arrangement you may be interested, so that this has the Japanese government actually will designate or the center authorized center to manage this kind of finance collected from vehicle purchasers or by users. And then finally, well, when these are actually used at the time of the recycling in the downstream, then they are actually reimbursed. So that it's a little bit complicated, but if you go up the deposit management corporations, and in our country, well, this is a bit unique. PRO is not only one or two single organization. Well, it actually depends on, for example, like one PRO made up by different automobile industries. Well, they are actually working on F gases, airbags, and some others are actually working on shredders residues. So that it's kind of like a item based PRO. So this is probably a little bit unique compared with other countries, and also it's a little bit different from household e-waste management. Well, in our e-waste legal regime, we have like for example, like companies like one or two companies, or they get together and they're actually working on everything. But for the automobile industries, we have kind of like item based, like F-gas airbags or shredded residue or those kind of things. But anyways, the collected fees at the upstream, they are actually managed for then when in the middle where we have designated operators, collecting operators or F-gas recovery operators, when they work, then fees are actually provided, paid. Then finally, this kind of system is traced. It's reported to the government. So that's actually one of the important elements for to enable this kind of system works. So just to provide like evaluation of key feature of system, so that it's kind of like a extended producer's responsibility. Producers, automobile industries, well, they get together and they operate. But the cost wise, actually, it's coming from the I mean, major part of them are collected in the beginning. And then, well, also like a full traceability electronic system. Well, this is another case. And then we have now achieved a high rate performance of the recycling rate. This is a bit old information, so that I I should have update. But the treatment volumes in fiscal year 2022, we have for example like 2.39 million cases of F-gas handles, airbags, something like this, so that the basically it's more than 95% to 99% for they are actually handled. And also like on your right hand side for the fee collection system is very important, so that the well, annual deposit, well, we have basically a stringent well collection system. I think this is actually well also related to mandatory car inspection every 2 years, so that at the time of the mandatory inspection, well, this payment is actually well also checked. So that is actually also the sort of like the enforcement measure is kind of one of the things for we cannot miss. So this is a kind of like a short introduction of what Japan has experienced with the automobile recycling law, and then also the fee collection and EPR system. If you're interested, well, I'm happy to discuss with you. And then this is our center's homepage. So you are welcome to visit our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Makoto. I think Japan's story showed that they have a crisis and then triggered the whole system. I don't think now the other countries should wait for that crisis, right? So our next presentation brings us to China. China is home to world's largest automotive market, one of the most ambitious EV transitions. And I'm delighted to introduce Ms. Ruohan. Ruohan is a consulting researcher at Automotive Data China. This is the country's leading institution for automotive data, standards, and policy research. Ruohan specialized in EPR policy and standards for vehicles and batteries, and has advised many automotive and battery companies on recycling system design. So she will be sharing China's, the pilot experience on EPR for automotive products. Ruohan, over to you. Just a reminder that please keep our presentation within 15 minutes. I know there's so much to talk, but I want to keep some time for questions and answers session. Thank you so much.
Okay, hi everyone. I am Zhang Ruohan from the Automotive Data of China company, and it is my great honor to be here today and share with you the research progress and the practical experience on EPR policy in China. And my presentation today is divided into 3 parts. Including the research background, the research progress of EPR, and our work plan in the future. And first, I would like to talk about the background for conducting EPR in China. And in recent years, the Chinese automotive industry has developed rapidly. And here are 2 sets of data I'd like to share with you. First, in 2025, China's automobile production and sales both reached 34 million, and China has been the world's top automotive producer for 17 consecutive years. And second, the transition to the new energy vehicles continues to accelerate. The proportion of new energy vehicles in the total vehicle population reached 53% in 2025. and which shows a very clear industry trend toward electrification. And the vigorous development of the automotive industry brings significant opportunities for the resource recycling industry. In 2025, the automobile stock in China contained more than 700 million tons of steel and more than 70 million tons of aluminum and more than 60 million tons of plastics. This is a very substantial volume. And as we estimate by 2030, as the vehicle ownership and the scrapping rate increase further, the content of this resource will continue to rise. And in 2025, the steel, aluminum, and the plastic for the automotive production make up 8%, 10%, and 7% of China's total output, respectively. And as we estimated, by 2030, the demand of raw materials in the automotive sector will continue to grow. And recycled materials derived from end-of-life vehicles will therefore effectively supplement the supply needed for automobile production. And in summary, the large-scale development of the automotive industry has transformed the resource recycling from an optional choice to a necessary one. Against this backdrop, extended producer responsibility, which we call the EPR, has become the key approach to achieve the green, circular, and sustainable development of the automotive industry. And EPR requires producers to extend their resource and environmental responsibilities beyond the manufacturing phase to cover the entire life cycle, including design, distribution, consumption, recycling, and final disposal, which can effectively enhance the resource utilization efficiently of the entire industrial chain. And since 2016, we have supported the Chinese government in the research of EPR policy for the automobile. In 2021, the Chinese government released the implementation plan for extended producer responsibility pilot program. And its core content includes establishing the recycling system, carrying out resource utilization, and implementing green supply chain management, and enhancing information disclosure. At the same time, the policy sets a series of quantity and quality targets, including the comprehensive utilization rate of resource, the recycling rate of automobiles, and the proportion of recycled materials. And the Chinese government selected 11 automobile manufacturing companies with the 62 upstream and downstream companies in the industrial chain to participate in this pilot program. And this pilot program actually provided a rich set of practical samples for exploring the EPR management systems in China. And now I'd like to share the pilot outcomes with you. After the pilot, the recycling and the utilization performance of pilot companies improved significantly. And the pilot companies established the recycling systems for end-of-life vehicles and the retired power batteries. During the pilot period, the companies set up a total of 885 recycling service outlets and collected 81,000 end-of-life vehicles. And the comprehensive resource utilization rate of the pilot companies reached 87.8%. percentage, and which was 19.5 percentage points higher than that before the pilot period. And it also far exceeds the target of 75%. And another highlight is that the diversified application of remanufactured parts. And the pilot companies take the obsolete parts, the defective parts, and the parts dismantled from end-of-life vehicles from the remanufacturing. And they have developed more than 15 categories of remanufactured products and use them in the repair of end-of-production vehicles and use it in the logistic fleets and extra, which can really efficiently help companies to save costs. And third, regarding the application of recycled materials, automotive companies, together with the recycled material companies, have successfully used multiple types of recycled plastics in over 30 types of components. And the proportion of the recycled materials generally ranges from 20 to 30%, and with some of the parts ranging over 60%. And more importantly, they have preliminarily explored the car-to-car recycling and achieved the full chain traceability of recycled plastic. And the progress was also made in the recycled aluminum. The recycled aluminum has been applied to more than 20 types of components, and the proportion of it reaches 50 to 100% in some parts. And one of the pilot company has reduced 51% of its carbon emission by using the recycled aluminum in its car. And next, as for the information disclosure, pilot companies have publicly released the information about green design, the end-of-life vehicle recycling, the resource utilization extra through the EPR public service platform and through the China Auto Green Dismantling Information System and their ESG reports. And during the pilot, we organized a series of field visit activities in pilot companies. And through these visits, we documented lots of outstanding experience and compiled them into a collection of outstanding pilot cases. And we have published a research report about the recycled plastics. And this provides a rich set of useful examples for the EPR management in China. And at last, we recognized several industry challenges in EPR management. And for example, there is still a lack of standardized guidance for EPR. And the second is that the vehicle design still prioritizes the cost and the performance over circularity. And the systems for collecting and recycling retired batteries are not well developed. And the fourth is that the public awareness and the trust in the remanufactured and recycled automotive products remain low. And to address these problems, we plan to focus on the following areas. The first is about the development of policies, standards, and platforms. We will continue to supporting the Chinese government in developing the management systems and clarify the objectives and mapping the implementation pathways. And meanwhile, we are establishing a 1+X standards framework, which can provide clear guidance for manufacturers to take the EPR work. And furthermore, we will continuously optimize the vehicle and battery EPR management platforms to enable the full life cycle traceability across the industrial chain. And the second major area is circular design. To advance recycled plastics research, we are launching a 1+N collaborative labs for the automotive recycled materials. And one stands for the shared central lab. This lab provides the research on policies and standards, conducts industrial research activities, and organizes conferences and forums. And the collaborative labs, we aim to work with all types of companies in the value chain and accelerate the high-value applications of the recycled materials. And third work is about the recycling system development. We established the China Automotive Producer Responsibility Organization, which we called CAPRO. And we selected quantified battery recycling service outlets across the country to form a shared recycling service network, and it can cover all provinces and the cities in China. The companies can sign agreements with CAPRO, and then they can use the recycling service outlets across the China. This may help many companies to improve their collection efficiency. And the last one, to address the market awareness, we are building a green design evaluation system for the batteries. And next, we will organize the experts review some of the power batteries by using this evaluation system. And the results will be displayed on the information platform. This way, the consumers can easily recognize the green designed batteries. And we hope this can boost the market confidence and drive green consumption choice. And finally, I would like to emphasize that this journey is not one we can take alone. We look forward to working with UNDP and other partners around the world. And together, we can promote the material learning and share the global EPR experience. And we hope we can catalyze the transition from linear to circular automotive value chains. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruohan. I think comparing with Japan, China's case, the pilots just started 5 years ago, right? Japan already built the system for over 2 decades. But we can see very promising results. The recycling rates improved by 20%. One very interesting fact I noticed that the car user in Japan pays a fee for this kind of recycling. But in China, we don't have this. We'll discuss later at stage. Next speaker will show some different. The speaker is Mr. Thorsten Frederick. He's from the Netherlands. I think a lot of countries like Netherlands, they don't have automotive producer, but they need to face the reality that they need to manage the end-of-life vehicles. And Mr. Thorsten will introduce their system, which is a PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization. Mr. Thorsten is the innovation coordinator at Auto Recycling Netherlands, which is the PRO responsible for end-of-life vehicle recycling in Netherlands. He worked across batteries, plastic, fuels, and material recovery, and is at the forefront of circular innovation. So he will share the Dutch PRO model. So Thorsten, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure. So let's start right away. Let's go to the first slide, please. So we are a foundation, and we are not for profit. and we have been founded by the organization of vehicle importers, the organization of dismantlers, and the organization of vehicle repair shops. We are a team of 20 people, and we aim to implement the Dutch and European laws on end-of-life vehicles. That, having said, is changing from an end-of-life vehicle directive towards a more stringent and further going regulation as we speak. It has just been passed through European Parliament, and the changes will be significant. But I think we are well prepared to take on that challenge. Next slide, please. So, as I said, we are a foundation. We do not need to make money. However, we do need to raise recycling fees. We do this at point of sale, at put on market moment. It is a relatively low fee, and it does not reflect the actual cost of recycling of a vehicle. We calculate a new fee annually based on the expected cost and incomes of the next 5 years. It is non-discriminatory, so all brands pay the same fee per vehicle. It is invoiced at sales or at import, and it is part of the sales fee. So strictly, it is the importer that pays the fee, but they make it a separate post on the invoice. So it is a philosophical question if it's in the end it's the consumer that pays, but formally it is the manufacturer. So we have a legal target of 85% of material use or 95% of useful application, and that includes energy recovery. We are well above that level. However, as I said, legislation is changing, and also is the composition of vehicles. Next slide, please. So in our chain, we have several steps. At the moment of deregistration, the vehicle becomes officially a waste product. So it's the moment that we take off the number plate. It is no longer a product, it is now a waste product, and as such there are strict limitations of what you are able to do with it. As from the moment that the plates are removed, we strictly follow each individual vehicle through the entire chain. And at first it's the depollution and dismantling, so the legally removable parts need to be taken off. That is hazardous materials such as oils, fluids, tires, and batteries. But also the dismantler removes parts for reuse and repair. Once the dismantler is done with that, the entire vehicle goes through a shredder, where the metals are separated from the ASR, the automotive shredder residue, which in our country is separated further in a post-shredding technology plant, where we separate out further residual metals, minerals, plastics, and such. In total, our system entails more than 200 dismantling companies, 13 processors, 5 collectors, and 12 shredders currently, plus the one post-shredding technology plant. So it's a collaborative effort which we stimulate, facilitate, and report on. Next slide, please. So in our efforts, we are aiming to move from material recovery, like in a waste disposal management plan towards a more like a supplier in a circular economy. So so we want to keep reusing parts, but also we want to prepare materials in such a way that they can be used in future generations of vehicles. So and we facilitate that by making lives easy for the dismantlers. So we come and collect materials of no or negative value, and the dismantlers and processors they take care of the materials that are of positive value. And in such way, we manage. There's some noise somewhere. Somebody please switch off the microphone.
Colleagues, please mute your microphone.
Thank you very much. So and in this way we manage a total recovery rate of 98.8% currently. Next slide, please. We have a similar scheme for EV batteries. It is a separate scheme, but connected to the vehicle. So we have one EPR scheme for the vehicle and one EPR scheme for the EV battery. There is a slight difference. It is mandatory to take part in our system for the entire vehicle. However, it is voluntary to take part in our EV battery system. It is not voluntary as such. So a producer is free to either choose us or somebody else or do it by themselves. But joining us is a voluntary decision. Currently, the major OEMs or importers are taking part in our system. All except one, really. And by European law, it is not just the OEMs that need to register their batteries with us, but it is also small companies importing EVs for commercial reasons. So it's not private people, but it could be a small company importing 2 vehicles. So they will have to register through our portal. Currently, we have roughly 1,500 users in our battery portal. We expect a total of 4,000 eventually. The total weight of the current collection of batteries is relatively low, with just over 400 tons. However, we do expect that number to grow exponentially. Most of the vehicles most of the batteries that we collect are currently crash vehicles or recalls from manufacturers, and most of the vehicles have not yet achieved natural end of life. Also important to note, so we are responsible for EV batteries for small appliances, portable and big industrial batteries. All are with different EPRs. So we are vehicle battery responsible. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we have seen a significant shift in policies in Europe, whereas we don't see end-of-life treatment of vehicles as a waste management solution, but as a contributor towards a circular economy. And the new European approach includes design, but also information flows, obligatory recycled content levels, collection rates, and such. Also, it tries to limit excessive exports of ELVs abroad. Specifically addressing the issue of missing vehicles. There's a significant number of vehicles with unknown whereabouts that should be tackled with the upcoming regulation. And in the same, so the New European regulations, they're a bit like jigsaw puzzle pieces that fit into each other. So the battery regulation fits properly into that. And it is no longer seen as just as an environmental matter. It is seen as a matter of securing resources and of enabling the industrial transition. So it's suddenly somewhat more in the picture than it used to be. Next slide, please. So we have learned that so there's a lot of different aspects in an EPR system. We have learned it is really crucial to have a clear legal responsibility and mandate, and also make the partners in the entire chain formal. So moving away from informal treatment, formalizing the entire sector using contracts and permits. Transparency is key. We need to know operations of partners. We need to know whereabouts of vehicles. We need to know where exactly they are going, how much recycling efficiency is achieved at every stage. And for that you need a proper system for vehicle registration and reporting in the entire sector. So we built on these permits, on our responsibility, on contracts, and manage the entire system. And once you have a system going, it is much less complicated to raise the bar and go for higher targets. So that is our point of view on EPRs in the automotive sector. Thank you very much, and I believe there will be room for questions later on.
Yes, thank you so much, Thorsten. I think the Dutch PRO is very effective model for the countries that without car producers. Our final presentation brings us to Brazil, a large middle-income country with significant vehicle fleet, complex informal sector. I'm very pleased to introduce Professor Roberto. He's from Federal University of Paraná in Brazil. He has over 45 years experience spanning transportation, energy, public administration, urban mobility, and leadership roles across government, academia, and the industry. He will be focusing on the main challenges in final vehicle disposal in Brazil. Over to you, Professor. Professor Roberto?
Good morning and welcome.
Okay.
It's okay now? Thank you.
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. In 15 minutes, I hope to give you a realistic picture of the Brazil stance, what has been acted, and more important, what still needs to be done. Next slide, please. Let me start with some numbers to set the scene. Brazil has one of the largest vehicle fleets in the world. Every year, hundreds of thousands of vehicles reach the end of their used life. Here is where the things get started. Available estimates ranging from 1.5 to 2% of formal recycling are sectoral estimates, not audited government statistics. This data gaps itself a symptom of the maintenance problem that we have here in Brazil. The remaining 98% of this vehicle either end up retained by legal bureaucracy in public yards, abandoned in the city streets, or dismantled informally outside any regulatory control. Brazil still does not have a national official data system tracking and life vehicle destination. There is also a significant data gap in fleet size itself. In 2024, the official registered fleets was approximately 124 million units, while the estimated circulating fleet has only around 62 million units. The reason vehicles have a birth certificate in Brazil, but not that certificate. Next slide, please. To understand why the disposal challenge is becoming more urgent every year, let me show how, how Brazil EV market has evolved. In just 5 years, from 2021 to 2025, the electric and hybrid segments grew by 440% from approximately 35,000 to nearly 224,000 units. Conventional vehicles, by comparison, grew less than 20% over the same period. In other words, EV grows dramatically faster than conventional cars. The EV market share, which has only 1.8% in 2021, reached 8.8% in 2025. That means nearly 1 in every 10 new vehicles sold in Brazil last year was electric or hybrid. This is not a niche trend. It is a structural shift in the market, and it is arriving faster than Brazil's disposal infrastructure can absorb. Next slide, please. It's important to note that every single year from 2022 to 2025, the growth rates of electric vehicles vastly outpaced that conventional vehicles. The peak was in 2023, when EV registration jumped plus 90.7%, driven by the arrival of affordable Chinese models. Conventional vehicles grows only 90.2% that same year. In 2023, EV grows nearly 10 times faster than conventional vehicles, and in 2025, the figure was over 30 times faster. This is the market reality in Brazil. Disposal system must now race to catch up it. Next slides, please. When a vehicle follows the official process, dismantling law, disposal happens through 3 main channels. First, actions. Vehicles seized by traffic authorities or declared total losses by insurance are auctioned in 2 categories. Recover units that can return to the road, or scrap, which chassis permanently cancel and never allowed to circulate again. Second, license dismantling. Usable scrap goes to the credentially dismantler for mandatory discontamination fluids, better airbags, etc. And each reusable parts are targeted with a QR code for full traceability. Third, industrial recycling. Truly unusable vehicles are shredded. Steel and aluminum are recovered, but no metallic mix like flow-on plastic or rubber, no IRCR, remains the main unsolved challenge. The system, when it works, well designed. The problem is that it applies to a only teeny fraction of the total fleet. Next slide, please. There is, however, some good news on Brazil's genuine achievements under the dismantle law in the parts traceability system. Step A. Vehicle deregistration. On entry, the vehicle is permanently cancelled in the National Register. This chassis ceases to exist as a circularity unit. Step B, QR code labeling. Each reusable part of the receives a tamper-proof QR code linked permanently to original chassis number. Any customer can scan it with a smartphone to verify the part's legal origin, source vehicle, and licensed dismantler. Step C, mandatory tracking list. Structural parts, body panels, and electrical require tracking. Safety critical parts like brakes, airbags cannot be resold and must go directly to recycling. Step D, consumer verification. The full traceability cycle closed with the VAT receipt and the point of the sale. This system is also a powerful weapon against the vehicle thief or the illegal parts trade. Next slide, please. The governance model distributes responsibility across multiple actors. Vehicle owners are legal required to formally register their vehicles and deliver them to a licensed dismantler. Abandoned on public roads, on the other hand, carries fines. Insurance company. When paid out total loss claims, salvage ownership transfer to insurance, who bears full responsibility for action and proper disposal. The government actions are compulsory recycles and claimed size vehicles. This is a major bottleneck. Legal proceedings can freeze the vehicles for years. Manufacturers and parts share responsibility under the national law in Brazil, but not bidden reverse logistic obligation yet that covers complete ELV bodies. The new mover program is beginning to address this with recyclable tractor targets from 2027 onward. Oversight bodies, the fragmentation of the responsibilities among federal, states, and municipal bodies limits their regulation and the supervision in Brazil. The key gap is while tires, batteries, and lubricant oils already have bidding sector agreements, specific reverse logistics obligations for complete end life, but is still pending regulation. Next slide, please. On the positive side, Brazil has been advancing in legal framework with MOVER, program, the Green Mobility and Innovation Program. It was established in 2024 and regulate in 2025. Its focus in decarbonization, innovation, and sustainability in the Brazilian automotive and logistic industries introduced three key milestones. 2027, passenger cars must be manufactured at least 8% reusable or recyclable material, rising to 85% for entirely new designs. Light commercial vehicles face 85% and 95% respectively. Manufacturers and importers must also provide a dismantling manual and annual compliance report. We have for 2030 the 85 recyclable threshold becomes universal, covering all passenger cars sold in Brazil, both in the new existing models. Buses and trucks must also produce dismantling manuals for entire fleet. In 2032, all new buses and trucks, domestic or imported, must meet a mandatory recyclability target with specific percentage still pending final regulation. New light vehicles must also comply with a ban hazardous substance, lead, mercury, cadmium, and others. This represents a structural fleet moving Brazil closer to expand the producer responsibility model. Next slide, please. Let me now walk the 6 main challenges Brazil faces. Challenge 1, high informality. The second challenge is public yard backlog. Thousands of vehicles are tied up in legal proceedings for years, creating serious public health hazards. Challenge 3, tax asymmetry. Cascading tax make recycled steel less competitive than virgin iron ore. This has been in progress, but directly fiscal incentives for recycles are still lacking. Challenge 4, non-metallic residues. The foam, rubber, plastic panels have no large-scale recycling destination in Brazil, and mostly end up in landfills. Challenge 5, fragmented import. Independent import trade companies, highly dispersed, make long-term reverse logistic enforcement extremely difficult. Challenge 6, EV battery disposal. They involve safety risks, small scale, critical materials, recycling infrastructure, and regulatory vacuum. Next slide, please. No discussion of UV disposal in Brazil would be complete without addressing electric and hybrid vehicle batteries. And this you are the most complex challenge less. The 4 critical factors involve the safety, the limited infrastructure available, the second level regulatory gap, and the regulatory vacuum, despite the ongoing initiatives consolidate the sectoral agreements, are still needed for the final disposal of the large format lithium batteries. The next slide, please. Before I close, I want to leave you a different perspective on everything we have discussed. The current Brazilian context indicates that the time is right to act, particularly in the light of the following market driving factors. Only 1.5 to 2% of land likes undergo format recycling. The electric vehicle fleet has grown by 440% in 5 years, and a wave of end-life batteries expected specifically between 2028 and 2032. A green mobility and innovation program, the bill on electric vehicle battery circulation, and the national solid waste policy are creating a stronger regulatory moment in Brazil. Brazil has potential to become a South American hub for black mass processing. This drives point to 4 concrete groups of the business opportunity. The first is the regulatory and compliance consulting. Brazil has no compulsory certification for EV batteries or charging system, and no bidding regulation for second life battery reuse. They represent a high value adversarial opportunity across government, industry, and state bodies. The second is workforce training and certification. The national standard set competence stands for EV high voltage system, but remains voluntary. No compulsory certification exists, creating strong demand for accreditation training programs and for dismantlers, mechanics, and first responders. The third is ULV market formalization. Only approximately 5,000 licensed dismantlers operate formally in Brazil, leaving significant recovery part untapped. There is a strong opportunity for platform and business models that make formal recycling more competitive than informal sector. Finally, second life black mass production replace EV batteries for stationary storage, energy storage, extract critical materials from black mass locally, reduce reliance on imported process, and positioning Brazil as a regional hub for neighborhood is another opportunity. And finally, next slide, please. Brazil is making progress, but it needs to treat recycling with a sense of urgency. And electromobility must be a symbol of decarbonization, not environmental liability. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor, for sharing Brazil's challenges and some measures that has been taken to handle this problem. And thanks to all 4 speakers. You've given us a lot to think about. These are 4 very different stories, but the same question keeps coming up: who is responsible, who pays, and how do you actually make it work on the ground? Now let's open to the Q&A session. You can raise your hand, but I already seen questions coming in the chat. Maybe the first question, well, you think about it, maybe the first question is to Makoto, is from our colleague in Bangkok, He Xin. She asked, I think maybe your presentation already touched this a little bit, but please clarify about the fee that you collected from the user. When this car is exported to overseas, right? Will this fee be refunded?
Yes, Thank you very much. Maybe your colleague is trying to sell his or her car to abroad, from Japan. Interestingly, in case of exporting the second-hand car, so the deposit of the collected fee, you can actually request for the reimbursement or you can actually take back. So there is an procedure, designated procedure, but I'm not sure many people file their requests for the reimbursement. But technically speaking, well, that's possible.
Okay, thank you. And one Isabella from one colleague from called Isabella, she asked about a question about seas, small developing island countries. Is there such a model for them to handle this kind of big wave of end-of-life of vehicles? Maybe Makoto or other colleagues such as Thorsten, you have answer for this?
Thank you. This is a very challenging area, but actually, we are very much concerned because we have been working with many SIDS in the Pacific, so that when you go to different small island countries on the SIDS, you can actually see a lot of dead cars on the beautiful shore or beaches. But that's very sad situation. And then they're unable to handle this. So that I think we may need to take a different approach because they are very like a low volume quantity. So in some cases, like I have seen some Korean or Chinese dismantlers they are actually exporting scrap to Korea or China or maybe to Japan. But that in that case, like they need to be properly pre treated because there are international regulations for waste management, waste export, import. So I think that's somehow we need for international cooperation additionally. Thanks.
Thank you. Thorsten, you have some insights on this?
Yes, I think Kato is very right. There is international cooperation required. I know of the example of Aruba, where they have an issue with ELVs, and we have been in the process of consulting with them, but somehow that project became silent. I'm not sure why, but I'm aware of the issue. I don't have a off-the-shelf fix-it at hand. Sorry about that.
Maybe next question for Ruohan and maybe your colleague. I know that you are joined by your colleagues to this webinar. A colleague from Uzbekistan, Baghdad, I think also Isabella touched about this perspective. For a lot of developing countries, what are the key policy and institutional measures that the country can establish today to ensure that the end-of-life vehicles and the EV batteries become a source of valuable materials rather than an emerging environmental challenge in 10 to 15 years. I know that Japan, Netherlands have been operating their system for 20 to 30 years, but for developing countries, what is your advice? What are the key policy and the measures?
Well, I think that they can start from the pilot policy, just like China, and they can maybe at first let some leading companies in the industry to do the maybe some circular works, and then they will lead other small companies to do this work later. I think this is really valuable work, and I think they can maybe get some pilot companies, and maybe they can get some useful experience.
Thank you, Ruohan. Roberto, Professor, do you have some something to add?
Okay, thank you. I think that in Brazil, a big challenge is the how to model or design a financial mechanism for recycling. In Brazil, we have a lot of taxes to purchase new cars, and it's very difficult to think to have new tax for recycling. And then particularly, I believe that the alternative is to develop business, incentive the different stakeholders to take part of the business recycling system.
Okay. I don't see anyone raise their hands, but there are still a couple questions in the chat. One is how can this vehicle lifecycle management be integrated into national climate strategies, particularly in developing countries where transport electrification is accelerating, but circular economy policies for vehicles are still emerging or being developed. Any speaker?
Just for your information, like I have actually partially responded to this question, and then I am aware of time. It's finishing very soon, but I put the link so that the people who are interested in end of life vehicle management and also life cycle refrigerant management, including like Maxker, I think that would be very interesting. We are actually promoting the integration of circular economy and also refrigerant management in Paris Agreement nationally determined contribution. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much to our speakers and to everyone who sent questions, and also all the participants today. We heard about 4 stories from Japan, China, Brazil, the Netherlands. The context is totally different, and the country are at different development stages. But I think the good news from today is that we don't have to start from zero for other countries. They already been through this in different ways. So the lessons are there. What's needed now is a will to use them, particularly, I think, the government, right? And also private sectors, that you need to cooperate in such a, the whole system. And the UNDP is also working on this, like Xiaofang mentioned in her opening remarks. And I believe what we heard today will directly shape our work. So thank you, Makoto, Ruohan, Thorsten, and Professor Roberto, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. We will share the recording and any materials in this webinar, and we hope to continue this conversation. So any country who might be interested to work together with us on this topic, vehicle end-of-life vehicle management, please talk to us or your regional technical advisors. So Yeah, we are punctual. We are just right at time. Have a good rest of your day wherever you are. So thank you and goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.